Okay, hello everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our latest ANTA webinar, Mastering the 10 Essential Business Skills for Thriving Practitioners in 2025. I'd like to introduce our speakers for today. My name is Danielle. I'm a nutritionist and member engagement lead at ANTA and your host. And I'm really excited to be joined today by Tammy Guest, a naturopath and business mentor with a background in medical science and pathology. Tammy's career began in cancer research and laboratory science, where her deep fascination with the human body eventually led her to run a busy multimodality clinical practice serving thousands in her community. Realizing that there could be a greater impact, Tammy began mentoring practitioners to help build sustainable, thriving businesses. Tammy is the founder of the Naturpreneur Movement and Hub, helping thousands of practitioners across a diversity of modalities change the way they do business. She's also the author of 2 books, and her most recent release, Unrestricted, a modern guide to doing business and life differently, serves as the essential handbook for practitioners who want to make a meaningful impact in the world. And Tammy has generously offered a copy of her book as a giveaway today to one of our most engaged attendees. So we'll notify the winner following the webinar. Before we begin, I'd just like to run through some quick housekeeping. As this is an interactive webinar, please feel free to add your questions into the chat bar for Tammy to answer throughout and at the end of the presentation. This webinar has been recorded on the traditional land of the Kabi Kabi and Jinibara peoples of Sunshine Coast Country, and ANTA acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respects to elders past and present. Now I will hand over to Tammy. Thanks, Tammy.
Hey everybody, it's so good to see you all. Hi Rebecca from Perth, Kerry Ann, Yoshimi, Kate, Frank, Masako, Kirsten, oh my goodness, and you're from everywhere, I see. Hey Jules, nice to see you, and Diana. I am coming from the amazing Awabakal lands in Newcastle, Australia, and I am so excited to talk to you guys today all about these 10 really important skills that are starting to emerge as essential for successful practice. And one of my loves, one of my driving kind of causes is that practitioners are so important in our communities. I loved running my community-based practice in a multimodality bricks and mortar for so many years. And but I was experiencing a lot of burnout, and I'm seeing it all the time with my mentees. And so any leverage point that we can have to ensure that practitioners are at their best rather than they're burnt out, to give their best for their communities, whether it's in Cleveland, Queensland, or Melbourne, or the Sunny Coast, Karen. Oh, and Amber on the Sunny Coast, and Sharon on the Sunny Coast. Gosh, you guys are popular up there. Debbie, nice to see you from the Hub. Antoinette, more people from the hot state of Perth. Whether you are, wherever you happen to be, all over the globe even, it's a really important thing for you to harness some of these up-and-coming skills for the next year, let alone the next decade, that will keep you out of burnout and keep you at your prime to be able to help the people out there who need our help. Alrighty, so without further ado, I'm going to be popping things in here. If you have any questions that come up, please pop them in the chat. I really love engaging with you guys and answering any questions, whether it's Madeline from Adelaide or Tanya from Gippsland. Oh, my old home turf for primary school, sail over there. And I will keep an eye on there, and we will answer as many questions as we can. Alrighty. So, yay, this looks like it's working, people. So, as you saw for the sign up, this is the 10 most essential business skills for successful practitioners in 2025. I am Tammy Guest. I run my own practice. Mine's all online now, and I mentor thousands of practitioners here and overseas. In lots of different modalities, and whether it's bricks and mortar, running retreats, running conferences. I love to run conferences and get everybody in the room, writing books, writing courses, or helping people do that so that their message of natural health can get out to so many more people. I absolutely love what I do, and that's kind of my mission. Today, by the end of this lesson, you will find the steps to set up success in practice by understanding these 10 essential skills. You will understand the current state of the profession and why these extra skills are essential right now. You'll have a list of potential resources and technology to support your practice. And so if you have a notepad and paper, now's the time to grab that out. I go through a lot of content. I'm really, actionable stuff is my jam. I really don't want you to just think, oh, I did that thing on the, ANTA webinar and then just forget about it. I would love for you to dig like you're finding a gold nugget and, go through the dirt. Some of this won't rock your socks off, but some of it will be really, really you'll just get this one thing. And if you start to notice those little glimmers, grab that one thing and take action on it. It'll change the trajectory of what you're doing in business and practice. And lastly, you'll learn how to incorporate the change to sustain a successful practice. So, what does it look like now? The state of the industry in 2025 is that practitioner resilience is an evolving landscape. I ran a conference at the end of last year and I had 100 people in the room all doing a online survey. And of that survey, 97% of those practitioners reported significant stress in the past year. And I bet it's the same for you guys, right? And it might not be stress from work, although we have so many hats to wear, it's not surprising that we experience stress from work. We also experience stress in our lives. We're living in such an interesting era to be alive. And then we're a practitioner, and then we're running a business on top of that, as well as all the other hats. But the interesting thing about our profession is that whether you are a TCM practitioner, a manual therapies practitioner, nat, nut, herbie, or pracky, our professional satisfaction levels are huge. It is just so great to help people. We are so satisfied with helping people the way that we do with the modalities that we have. We also have a really high sense of purpose compared to other workforces. But the paradox is having 90% of practitioners reporting significant stress at the same time as having such a huge rewarding job, we have extraordinary fulfillment amidst extraordinary stress. So the healing professions are at a bit of a crossroads. There's an increased demand for healthcare. We know the statistics show that there's just more and more people with chronic conditions that need more and more help. And the healthcare landscape is changing with all the digital access points, ways in which people are finding out information on their own health and well-being through tools that they might take you further than Dr. Google ever did. And we've got growing challenges in practitioner well-being. We've got a workforce that is continuing to age and continuing to come across different seasons of their lives. And it's a really challenging kind of space to be in. There's three main areas that continue to be the areas with which, if we attend to them as a practitioner, our resilience, our career, our being able to stay in the profession will be maintained. One of them is our foundational elements, the core professional purpose and skill set. Everybody on here has a qualification, and that qualification and the CPE points in that clinical realm that we do, we actually have a really high score for that, 4.23 out of 5. So we've got really big understanding of our actual clinical application and foundational elements. Growth factors need a little bit of a nudge. They're just above 4. And that is the part of growth of your career, the professional development and learning that we do for ourselves rather than our clinical aspects. And the last part is around the balance elements, work-life harmony and personal energy. And I know so many practitioners say, work-life what? Balance. That isn't even a thing. And it isn't. It's a dynamic thing that changes all the time. But those elements are really leaving a lot to be desired. So these are these 3 areas that I'm going to be touching on, why these 10 skill sets are able to help in all of these areas. Why does this matter for the future of our healing professions? Well, practitioners risk burnout despite being really highly fulfilled. Personal well-being directly impacts the quality of care we can give. And the industry support that we get and the standards that we set for ourselves and our professions must evolve to sustain the profession so that we all stay in the profession whilst taking care of ourselves, whilst taking care of ourselves, whilst taking care of our businesses, as well as taking care of our clients. So, you guys, what about you? Where are you at when it comes to stress? Have you experienced stress in the past 12 months? Is there something that if you waved a magic wand over your professional career, what would you love? What would be a big goal that would be amazing for you to take on board for the profession? Do you have a personal goal? If you want to share it in the chat section, that would be amazing. So many people have the same experience as you, Tara, that feeling overwhelmed and burnt out. It's a really classic response that I hear from lots of practitioners. Oh, Christina, that's an interesting one. One-on-one is the fastest way to burn out. Coming from somebody who used to see 18 clients a day, I completely understand that statement. And there's so many other ways of doing it, right? We're going to explore that today. Oh, Rebecca, you've just graduated. Welcome. I'm so excited. You're going to get the tools right at the beginning so that you can avoid some of these potholes that many of us have fallen through for the last 15 to 20 years. Rachel, yes, stress is definitely something that's out there. Taken 60 years to learn the balance of life and always follow my own advice. Oh, Corrine, oh my goodness. How many of us have told the person in front of us over the online consultation or over the desk, here's what you need to do. And yet if we turn the mirror on ourselves for our stress and looking after ourselves, we could be the people that really actually need that advice for ourselves. I hear you. Debbie's brought up a really good point about having so much additional stuff to do and having extra staff to be able to find people to delegate to ensure that she's got plenty more time to look after herself. Excellent. I love all of these answers. Can't wait for school to start again. I hear you. All my kids are downstairs. Hopefully there's no drumming in the background shortly. Fantastic work-life balance is something that you're looking for too, Tanya. Amazing. And Carrie Ann, your goal this year is to get out of my comfort zone and live to my fullest potential, having only just finished uni 6 months ago and seeing what you can create. I absolutely love that. And so hopefully these 10 skills are things that you can start to hone in on within the context of what you want to create, and it'll get you parts of that potential to come into reality. Awesome. Okay, let's keep on going. Okay, the 10 skills. If you're anything like my neurodivergent brain, you want to know them now. So I'll put them all up here now so that you've got them all. But we're going to dive deeper into them. Number 1, self-leadership and resilience. 2, adaptability and evolving health models. 3, mastery of client-centered care. 4, leveraging technology. 5, business and financial acumen and building it. 6, collaborative practice and networking. We can't do it alone. 7, emotional intelligence and communication. Those big challenging clients that just want all of our attention, those really hard conversations or emails that we avoid. We're going to dive deep into that. 8, innovation and creativity, pivoting, all those words that have come about over the past 5 years. 9, data-driven decision-making and how to find the right data and statistics to work from. And 10, work-life integration, not balance. Alrighty. So the first skill is around self-leadership and resilience. I see this time and time again with mentees. The fascinating thing about having a business in the caring fields, in the healthcare world, is that sometimes we're not quite sure how much care to give. Anyone else have that same kind of notion? You have this moment of this person sitting in front of me. All I have in my mind, all I have in my heart is to be able to help them. They've often told us things that they haven't told anybody else. And all we want to do is pour everything that we have into them. And then if you're doing that like I was doing, 18 clients a day, imagine what it's like to come at the end of the day and back it up and be resilient for the next lot that come the next day. And so honing in on this skill is one of those really important ones to get right at the beginning. Otherwise, we start to have issues of burnout really early on. And we also can't regulate our own emotions because of the client therapist kind of merging that happens. So, techniques for energy renewal and boundary setting. I'm going to give you some further down on this slide that are really easy and take things out of your hands so that you don't have to make the decision. It's different when the person's in front of you. But when we get all those emails outside of the time that we have allotted to see this person, or we get random DMs on different channels, or we get the person who's calling all the time, trying to get the small details answered, or we get people who are ghosting us and other things, we're starting to notice that self-leadership and understanding our own boundaries can be dialed up and dialed down. Like Carrie Ann's just mentioning, finding the right level of giving them enough info without overwhelming them, we can dial that up, just like if we're dialing up a gas burner to get, a poached egg just right versus putting it all the way down and trying to, ghost them and ignore them versus giving them all of the information and vomiting up everything over the top of them and they don't need all of that information. We do have the ability to dial it up or dial it down. So it's about our own access to our own leadership. We're in charge of that dialing up and dialing down as to what we're going to give or not give. But first, you've got to have an awareness that you are actually giving a little bit too much. Oh, too little. You've switched it off. I know that about 5 years into my professional practice, I just switched it off. It was all too much, and it became a really interesting space to dance in to try and come back from that so that I didn't get overwhelmed. So for most practitioners, you are your business. The problem is if you don't take care of you, then the business doesn't run. And we know that what we need to do, and often it's pointing to the person in front of us, maybe you should take that time off. Maybe you should calm down. Maybe you should only take half an hour and give yourself only a nice little container to do that treatment plan rather than thinking about it for 4 days and then it being a mountain rather than a molehill. All of those little tidbits, once we turn the mirror onto ourselves and lead ourselves through what that boundary looks like for us, whether it's a time boundary that you're only going to take a certain amount of time on treatment plans, whether it is a boundary in your energy so that you are setting up onboarding emails to ensure people understand your expectations and email timeframes to get back to you. Some of those that we talk about in my world, in our memberships and things for our mentees, is things like, hey, we seem to have got this email outside of business hours. Our business hours are X, Y, and Z. During that time, you'll usually hear from us, and your treatment plans will generally take however long they're going to take, and you give yourself that time. And, we work this hours to this hours because we have these other commitments in our lives just like you. And we'd love to hear from you at your next consult if you'd like. And then you pop the frequently asked questions underneath, the things that people tend to ask you in between, and make sure that you've got an access point so that they can book in for the next consult or otherwise. Making sure that those boundaries and expectations are set from the beginning means that if there is pushback, you've actually got some standards that you have set to begin with. And it's somewhere to kind of bounce off through. Then deciding on what type of access point you want. in this world that we have right now of social media, online, telephones, mobiles, landlines, receptionists, AI receptionists, many chats, there's all sorts of ways that people are contacting us and our businesses, and choosing what works for you and that what's in alignment with you to ensure that you have enough energy and bandwidth to help people in the best way you can is really important. And there's nothing wrong with setting up, again, autoresponders that tell people, I don't answer questions on this particular platform. Please feel free to email X, Y, Z, or whatever it actually is for you. But ensuring that you have those boundaries to set up to begin with creates a lot less confusion and a lot more clarity between you and your clients. Lastly, you want to be starting to consider in this kind of skill set, resilience is over time. And resilience is something when you have the capacity to understand what you do with your time, you're then able to choose something different with what you do with your time. There's so many times that I see mentees asking about, what should my schedule look like? What's the best day to practice a long day? What is the best day to open my clinic? I can't let go of X, Y, or Z day because... So in my book, Unrestricted, I talk a lot about rules, baloney rules that we've all decided that we agree with, but aren't actually rules for everybody. They are just a common notion, and they don't have to be common for you. And so if you've heard a rule that we have to be working 4 to 5 days a week, 9 till 5 p.m., and outside of that, we should be quiet. But your brain doesn't work like that. And you get up fatigued in the morning, and you're not at your best when you speak to your clients at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. You want to be at your best. And so noticing where your energy cycle is, and then honoring that by having your client-facing hours during the best of your energy cycle, ensuring that those other times you're looking after your own adrenal glands and other things, will keep you in business and keep you in practice. Lastly, knowing when to refer and having a village to refer to. We can't all help absolutely everybody. And the beauty of having so many different modalities, so many different professionals, is that once we have confidence and trust in another practitioner, we're able to refer when we need to. We're able to possibly automate, and I'm about to talk to you a lot more about the things that you can automate. We're able to delegate, like we heard earlier from I think it was Diane, talking about delegating to other staff and having the possibility of receptionists or administrative assistants, virtual assistants to help with the marketing side of things, and other things that aren't actually what are really unique. The way that you show up and help people with empathy, with your skills and your talents, that's what you do. All of the other things around it are extra hats that we have to wear, but we do need to start to be discerning about what energy we're expending on those other things to ensure that we have a longevity in our careers and our practice. And that's truly mastering your own self-leadership. So Debbie brings up a really good point. It's easier to set boundaries once your business is established, but hard when you are building your business because you want to have as much availability as possible to accommodate all of the clients. And yet, isn't it interesting that we go out of our ways personally to go and see specialists or other people, and we will find the time, if it's important to us, to go and see those people. And so again, there's these little interesting rules and thoughts that aren't necessarily true. And once you start to play little experiments on yourself, like only having 3 days available to see clients, having the other 2 days available to, I saw another couple of people in the chat section had their sideline jobs for 2 days a week, or they are actually creating content and other things. It's a great time to make those containers to ensure that you are looking after your energy from the get-go. Start as you're meant to continue, as Rebecca said in the comments. So making sure that you can understand what works for you, and then feeling confident in making that decision and waiting for those people to maneuver around it. All right. Next one. Number 2 skill is adaptability to evolving health models. Now, the thing about health is that although we're all trained in traditional models, they are based on principles, and we are continuing to hold those principles. But we do have so many other ways of accessing these types of practices. So now we've got to embrace more integrative and digital healthcare advancements. Things like having an online booking system, things like having autoresponders. Autoresponders is an email that automatically goes out without you actually doing anything about it. It's automated. And having the information there available to the people who need it while you're not physically there. It's ensuring that you have access points to other digital media that other people use, your potential clients use. So whether that's social media, whether it's a smartwatch and getting the data off that and enjoying and connecting with clients about their health journey and what they're actually interested in when it comes to these evolving ways that they are connecting with their own health and well-being. And then from a business aspect, there are so many ways in which you can look after your practice when it comes to the digital world. Things to consider might be websites to share your knowledge if you haven't started blog post writing, if writing is your jam, if you haven't started sharing on videos or podcasts, if speaking is your jam, then these are ways that you can continue to connect with your potential clients with the same message and little tidbits of information that might spark exactly what they're interested in or exactly what they're challenged by to come and see you. Booking systems to book while you're not there. I do truly hope that everybody has an online booking system. It's one of the quickest, easiest ways to ensure that somebody who really needs you at 2 a.m. in the morning when they are in the most toughest pain by themselves and are possibly Googling you can book in straight away with you and access you when they have their heightened challenge. Booking systems also are automated so that they make, if it was to ever happen, auditing a much smoother process. Booking systems also ensure that you are available and can change the types of consultations or packages or programs that you have whenever you are ready to change into a slightly different model. Whereas having to reprint flyers and other things isn't going to be the most efficient way of getting there. Sharing your experience through programs, webinars, or podcasts is also an incredible way to talk to your potential clients or your current clients. Everyone wants to hear or have Kareen in their pocket or a Lydia in their pocket or a Tara in their pocket to hear what you would say about their shopping or their choice of meal for that night. And so having access points to enable that type of health information coming across to them is a really important thing for your communities. Again, smart wearable devices and apps. I know that in the Naturpreneur Hub, we often talk about menstrual tracking apps, fitness apps to ensure people are maintaining their health goals, using apps as more of a health coach while you're not there, and being able to access those from both a practitioner side of things and a client side of things to track people's progress. Online consultation options where you can. And so even our manual therapies people, it's a really great thing to be able to have an acute consultation type of option so that you're at least having somebody able to access you when they're in their height of pain or when they're continuing to do their exercises or other things, that they have an option to be able to connect with you online and have that advice, that trusted advice specifically from you when they need it. Lastly, the patient ordering systems. If you are supplying medicines for your practice, then having patient ordering systems is one of the quickest ways rather than having somebody come into your work or your dispensary and having to wait for the open hours and the receptionist. It's a really great option to be able to send all of these things to your clients. And people are expecting it now. How many of you have bought on Amazon or have bought on something online and it been delivered to your house? It's a really similar kind of scenario, but this way we are the practitioners in the gatekeeping zone of there as well. Third skill is the mastery of client-centered care. Now, we are the masters of client-centered care, if you ask me, but there are new ways of being able to deepen the relationships with our clients when we're not there. And the thing about that is we couldn't do that all the time. I know in my multimodality practice, my bricks and mortar, I'd seen 7,000 clients, and there's no way I could have that depth of care all the time with 7,000 people all in one room, right? Whereas emails, and as much as everyone hates them, newsletters and socials, these are ways in which we can connect to our clients and deepen this relationship while we're not even there. They get to hear our stories, our behind the scenes. I'm a really big lover of an email that is like having them across from the table from you and having a cup of tea with them. Sharing that level of professionalism, but personal, with a personal aspect. And we're back. Okay. Hopefully you can see me. Give me a wave if you can. That's the thing about having our beautiful beautiful school holidays, isn't it, people? We have everybody in the background trying to steal the internet and our bandwidth as well. So thanks for waiting there, wonderful people. All right. So yes, newsletters. Great questions over the newsletter scenario is how often do you put a newsletter out? And we've got some people answering once a week, once a month. I do it when I do my socials. I do it with a whole bunch of other things. And the interesting thing about newsletters is the main thing is just be regular. That regular might be once a quarter and a seasonal one if you really wanted to jam pack it full. It might be once a month or at the end of the month. Nicolette says, keeping an update on what's happening in that particular month. It might be once a week for you because things change or you'd like to keep that connection, like a text message style of kind of connection so that you're back and forthing with your particular clients. It's a really great way of ensuring that that relationship continues, and just the same as if you were messaging your best friend, or you want to kind of keep that as a two-way conversation. And it happens with regularity. You're not going to ghost your best friend or ghost the person that you trust the most. And ensuring that you have something with regularity means that you care. So making sure that you have some other ways of connecting with people while they're not there. Nurture sequences is one of those things that sets up 3 emails, or 3 to 9 emails of your favorite blog posts, your favorite tools that you share while you're in with your clients anyway. And you share those little tidbits automated so that you don't have to continue to do that. And lastly, splitting your list, tagging people and ensuring that you have some way of making them feel special because you happen to know something about them. In my world, it is tagging people who have come to me for a particular complaint. I've got clients this afternoon and nearly all of them are perimenopausal. And so I tag those particular clients with that. And so that if I find a resource or find something interesting, or I want to do a workshop specifically on perimenopause, then I know who I need to email. So that's the way that we dive deeper. The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patient in the care of the human frame, in proper diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. Thomas Edison, yeah, the guy that made the light bulbs. Speaking of technology, leveraging technology is one of those things that we need as a skill as practitioners in business. Our clients use them, so we need to use them too. Telehealth is completely normal now, given the pandemic era and how we access our doctors, our psychologists, our other professionals, and we need to make sure that we have access to our clients in a similar kind of way. Leveraging technology can also be clinical related and business related. I'm going to go into the zone right now because it's one of those things that, although it's a skill that is often required in technology jobs, this is a place that we can play into as practitioners. And if we don't get on the bandwagon quick enough with the AI movement, we are going to get left behind. Interestingly enough, we are already using AI in so many different ways, and many of our platforms have AI technology on the back of them already. But using these in a way that's strategic to save you time and save you money and access things that you probably wouldn't usually have access to as a practitioner and as a small business owner, AI gives us that. So ChatGPT has a customized way of creating your own ChatGPT. And those customized GPTs, you can upload all of anything you've ever created, upload any blog posts and have your voice and have your style, understand your branding, understand all of these words, and it can give you a lot more specific blog posts, a lot more specific newsletters, a lot more specific social media strategies just for you, for your particular target market when you've primed it properly and given it customization. The cool thing about that is it can save you so much time. And I remember, who was it up here before? I think it was Jules, said that she gets to the end of the month and does her newsletter. Oh, no, Nicolette. And I used to get to the end of the week and do it on a Sunday night, and then I jam it just before 6 a.m. on a Monday and send it out every Monday. ChatGPT cuts down the time on those phenomenally. And it's really important to have the human AI human element. So you put the information in as a human, it tweaks it as an AI and adds things that you may not have thought about. And then you have human on the end. It's a human AI human sandwich. I'm really adamant about that, especially in the practitioner world. But I digress. This is a really interesting kind of space to play in at the moment for small business owners, and it really can save you time and give you access to things that you probably wouldn't have had access to before. Other AI tools to consider are Cite, Elicit, and Connected Papers. For all of us scientific publication nerds, and we really love having a deep dive into anything that's actually cited, and we can find those and then deep dive even further. These three are AI tools that allow you to follow that rabbit hole of research. You can also connect workflows and leveraging technology to save you time to do that. One of my examples is healthbank.io. It's a booking system. You can have your client book on there. You can write your consultation notes on there. You can have your consult on there. So you can you can see somebody in an online consult or telehealth. You can book your naturopath and eye screen testing from there automatically. You can write the prescription. That prescription goes through Vitally automatically, and it's emailed to the patient, and all the follow-up emails are done from there as well. That's all within the one place. And so once we start to think about workflows like that, about other areas of our business where we do consider, a chain of events, if we can use technology to seamlessly make that chain of events work rather than what I did back in the day of booking people in my big paper diary with my receptionist that I had to pay for and the rent that I had to pay for. Then I had a different consult file and different notes that I had to file. Then I used different testing companies and I had to call them and book them in. And then I had to do the prescription and I had to store my dispensary and store tens of thousands of dollars in my building that I had to insure. And then I had to make sure that I was open so that the client could get the prescription. And then I had to email them. Instead, we have technology to leverage for these things now. So I want you to consider what parts of your workflows could be automated through technology. Productivity tools like Monday, Notion, and Motion are really good as well for some of us who might be a little bit of a squirrel type of brain type. And they are really well connected with your calendars and other things to ensure that you are having the most productive day. Lastly, working with contractors and staff. It's a really important thing to keep that off your email so you don't accidentally send data to your clients that you don't expect them to. And so Slack, Asana, and Trello and other things, I particularly like Asana because it has a flying unicorn when you finish a task. These are ways to ensure that you have these conversations outside of a place that feels a little bit more professional and that you could potentially cross-pollinate to your clients. I totally hear you, Tara, Rebecca. Yes, the squirrel thing is real. Okay, so Courtney said a lot of my older clients really struggled with health bank. That's okay. This is a beautiful thing. You know, some of us don't like Apple. Okay, that's not me. I like Apple. Some of us prefer Google, Samsung, Outlook, all sorts of things. And where we need to meet is somewhere between what you love and is easy for you and what your ideal clients love and what's easy for them. And then where it doesn't cross over, create an option for them. So I'm sure you figured out a way to make sure that you had a different type of intake form to enable somebody who wasn't technologically inclined to be able to get that information anyway. So there are lots of different options. HealthBank just happens to be one of them. There's the top 5 ones that we hear in the Naturepreneur Hub is HealthBank, Halixy, they're both free. Then we've got Simple Clinic, Clinico, and Practice Better. And then we have so many more other options, but definitely leveraging technology is the way to go. And another business skill is understanding business and finance and having literacy in these areas. One of those things that we didn't get taught in our qualification, but is essential for continuing to be in practice, is understanding business and finance. The biggest trip hazard I see with my mentees is that they spend all their CPE points on clinical skills that they generally already have, and they don't spend even a tiny little percentage of those CPE points on looking into understanding money and how it flows through their businesses, understanding business, especially in the practitioner realm, and understanding how they can optimize it in their special case, because not all of our businesses are the same. Not all of the ways that we work are the same. So getting any training that you can. ANTA has amazing webinars on all sorts of places and spaces in business. There was one just before Christmas on legals and other things that we generally go, oh, I'll get round to that. But it's really important that a percentage of your time, given that a percentage of your money coming in is actually from your business, you want to make sure that you are investing that time on understanding business and money. And also getting a mentor that's helped in business goals and personal goals that has helped profession specific. And so I saw a couple of you guys mention that you have mentors yourself. It's really great to be able to have access to somebody who knows what's coming up for you, what the potential trip hazards are, and shines a light on the easier way to get there. And ensures that you understand some of the words. You know, we all learnt anatomy and physiology, and it was a whole other language, right? Business and finance is really similar to that. It takes a little bit of getting used to wrap your head around some of these words and understand how it applies to you. So it's really, really important to spend a percentage of your time understanding that more, because it's going to be the biggest way that you're going to ensure that you stay in business. Jules, I'm so glad that this is resonating with you. Excellent. Collaborative practice and networking. We can't do this alone. We also can't do it in a vacuum. And as much as many of us think we can, especially when we get out of college and we go straight into practice, and then all of a sudden we are seemingly on our own, it's not the way to do business. There are challenges. There are amazing celebrations as well. And there are times where you just want to throw your computer at the wall, but doing it by yourself sucks. I can't really say it any other way. I remember having a really full day in clinic. I was so excited because I'd seen 8 clients back to back. Then I had to work on my my website. I had to find some way of doing something. I'd finally put my 3 kids to bed. I'd sat down on my laptop on my lap. I was trying to figure out how to do this HTML on the back end of my website through YouTube. I finally did it. It was 10:30 at night. And my husband, who worked in corporate at the time, didn't quite understand what the challenge was. And he said, well, I worked in databases for years. That seems pretty easy. And he's not generally like that. He's an amazing person. But the point of it is you doing it by yourself and not having other practitioners around you to understand what that feels like, to actually get something nailed on the back end of your business, or really have an incredible result with your clients, or celebrations are shared, commiserations and challenges are also shared. And so it's one of those things that for everyone to rise, we have to do it together. So ways in which I would suggest are things like mentoring groups, whether they are official or unofficial. You can get paid mentoring groups or unofficial mentoring groups. Reach out to the people in your colleges. Reach out to the Facebook networks that we have. Even if you are hiding in the background, just a voyeur in these Facebook groups, it's a really amazing place to be able to go, oh, I'm not alone in feeling that way. I can keep going. Reaching out to a colleague to become an accountability buddy, because many of us have been in workplaces before where somebody is the boss and then we're supposed to be the employee and finish stuff. And then you go out in solo practice and you're the boss and the employee and nobody's there checking. So it's really great to be able to have somebody to cheer you along and hold you accountable as well. Go to industry events. ANTA Symposium is on every year, and I know that there are so many more, from suppliers to my conference, Net Expo Liftoff. There's so many ways that you can connect in real life with people just like you and find the ones that gel for you. Don't just give up on the first one going, oh, networking's not my thing. Run it as an experiment and see if you can find the gold in it for you, that one person that you need to connect to. Also, mine your current network on overlapping interests and see if you can collaborate with somebody who is similar but non-competing. So I see a lot of naturopaths work with nutritionists, or a lot of TCM practitioners who go on and collaborate on retreats and other things. These are amazing ways to ensure that both your businesses thrive by creating a collaborative event. A workshop, a course, a retreat, or a training. It's much easier to do it with other people. Another skill that we are seeing challenges with is emotional intelligence. We are amazing, emotionally intelligent human beings as practitioners, but communications, especially when they are challenging conversations, are ones that we are having some difficulty with. And when it comes to practicing communication, back on that last slide, networking events are one of those easy ones. Well, the most challenging way to practice your communication. Just like Jules is saying, networking events terrify me. And I get it, it did for me too. But again, if you set it up as a scientific experiment or you run it as a little challenge for yourself, what if I only speak to one person in the room? Then see if you can do that micro win to get to a macro win of actually finding your tribe and not having to do it alone. Now, the thing about networking events and even having conversations with our clients, and one of the struggles that I see a lot of practitioners going through at the moment is being quite disillusioned that their clients won't be motivated to change for themselves, is that we have the potential to be clearer in our communication or have coaching or motivational tools to enable us to communicate better. Where could you be clearer in your communication, whether it is on socials, emails, online, in person, as a motive? There's so many ways to change the way that you're speaking. How are you protecting your boundaries, and what words are you using to protect your boundaries? Who have you got to debrief with? Your emotional intelligence gives you an ability to kind of have the fuse switch when you debrief with somebody, a colleague. Do you have a clear time and space to debrief with a colleague? And what courageous conversations have you been putting off? Which email are you just avoiding? What conversation are you not having? And what are some of the other ways in which you could have clarity through a courageous conversation? Some of my favorite speakers on both of these things are, just like Jack has mentioned there, the new book by Mel Robbins, The Let Them Theory, is a great one. Also, any of the work by Brené Brown is phenomenal. Her quote is actually, clarity is kindness. And the more clear we can be, the more kind we are going to be. So if this is your gold nugget, if this is resonating with you and you're going, Tammy, just switch the slide, I don't want to hear any more about this, it's really likely that this is the thing for you. So I want you to take a moment to write down that question and figure out a way to take an action on that question. Alrighty. A successful doctor of the future will have to fall in line with a procession of doing more teaching than prescribing. And I know that so many of you are educators one-on-one, but educating on a really larger scale is one of the things that we can do as practitioners. And we kind of need to be ahead of the curve when it comes to Dr. Google or other places and spaces that we play in. This depends on our ability to change the way that we do things. Innovation and creativity are the skills that we need to change up the way that we're doing these things. How could you do your teaching element differently? Again, this won't resonate with everybody, but start to think, what could you do in a different way that will either gamify things for people where they get excited about it? Maybe it's an ebook, a quiz, a shopping list, or a checklist. Maybe it is setting up a little webinar. I remember, I had 3 of my clients sign up for a webinar and none of them turned up live, my first webinar. And it was about detox. And I ran it anyway. I spoke to the screen and I ran it anyway. And here I am doing it for 600 of you. So this is the thing. You have to start somewhere with being able to share your knowledge, because not everybody has the means to come and see you necessarily. But once you start to share it, they're going to increase that way of understanding that you're the right person for them. Changing up the way in which and getting creative with not just an initial consult and a follow-up consult, starting to understand that taking people on a journey, their health journey, and being a partner in that journey is one of the most profound things that we can do. And we do that in a kind of old school way, but we could start to innovate in ways that are programs or packages or even memberships that keep people on track, help them not fall off the wagon, and inform them in a trusted advisor type of way that they may not get from just trying to Google it. Lastly, there is the possibility, and it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I do see a lot more of this coming around. And with the increase in gym memberships and online memberships for exercise, there is a similar kind of trend for memberships in health and well-being. They want the trusted advisor, that happens to be you, to share little tidbits along the way to take them from where they are now to where they need to go. So these are just things that you might want to start to consider about mixing up and doing it differently. Another skill, second last skill that we need coming into 2025 and beyond is understanding decision making in your business that is data driven. Now, the old catchphrase used to be data is king. I'm all for data is queen or king. But the thing is, we need to know our numbers and we need to be empowered by our numbers. And as practitioners, I generally see most practitioners avoid their numbers. They're just numbers. They're not attached to anything unless we make it mean something. And if we have a bit of emotional detachment from them, we can make clearer decisions in our businesses and clearer decisions for our clients if we start to go with a little bit more logic and then leverage the results. So some of those, when it comes to data, might be understanding and accessing pathology, point of care testing, functional pathology, or wearable devices. Understanding that that's how people are measuring their steps in a day, or their Strava app, or whatever they're using to notice their changes. If you start to speak to them on those types of levels, you can actually create much more of an effective decision-making tool for them as well as you. Again, apps that can change the way that we're starting to consider people's habits, their health habits and their goals. And lastly, in our businesses, we can use current trends to make decisions in our businesses, such as the CMA white paper. This is the complementary medicines review that's done every year. And last year I read it. You can go and get it free. There's a white paper that comes out every year, and it gives you insights into the buying habits of humans in Australia, and the way that they are starting to engage with natural health practitioners, different modalities, and different types of medicines. And so the big one that stood out for me in that was actually gummies. Gummies has like this insane 800% increase in searching, buying, all these different ways that a particular demographic is starting to consume all of their vitamins and minerals through gummies. So, vitamin C gummies and B vitamin gummies and things like that. And we all know the trip hazards that are the level of sugar and other things in there. But if we can meet our clients where they're at, based on the data that we can start to see, we can start to change the way that they're actually creating results in their world. Last one, but the most important. Here's a skill for you: work-life integration. This is one of those things that I don't want you to take lightly. I see it all too frequently, the burnout scenario, and exactly the types of tools that you would ask your clients to do, I'm asking you to do now. I'm asking you to think of the top 5 non-negotiables to keep you at your peak. And I would love for you to be able to pop that, at least one of them. What's a non-negotiable for you? What's a non-negotiable in the chat section that will keep you at your peak so that you can show up as your best for your clients, show up for your best for your business, and then show up for your best for your personal goals and connections and loved ones? So what's one of the non-negotiables that you have? I know that in our Naturepreneur membership, we've got people who need to get outside every day. They have to get outside. They have to take their dog for a walk. They have to put their feet in the ocean. Bedtime at 9:30 is one of the big ones. I love that, Tara and Courtney and Rhonda. Yeah. Sleep's a big one, or your bedtime routine. Ooh, Rachel, nutrition, exercise, sleep, family time, outside, boom, 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 coffee. I love that. That's excellent. Devices away by 9 p.m. Yes, switching off of the Wi-Fi at 9:30. I love that. Daily yoga practice, eat well. Haven't seen too many of you with a creativity practice. I'm big on creativity practice more recently. And I also have Freedom Fridays They were something that came in just before the pandemic hit, while I was learning to fly a helicopter. And so Fridays were the time where I specifically worked on my personal goals, and I was a much better person for it by creating a time that was really specific for me. My Freedom Friday is now full of a giant new knitting machine, and that's going to be really fun to figure out as well. Feeding your chooks, Rhonda. Oh, I love that. They're so rewarding, aren't they? Okay. Lastly, the way you can change isn't just, I want this result. I don't want to be burnt out. That's the result I want. First, it starts with your attitude. You have the ability to be able to change if you choose it. You have the ability to then create and do something. So you be something, then you do something, then you have a different result. And so whether it is wanting to change your numbers, wanting to change your connection and deepen your relationships with your clients, wanting to change your platforms or processes, it doesn't start with the result in mind. It starts with how you're going to be to change that for you. So how do you need to be? Lastly, if you need more support, you can contact me at Tammy Guests on everything with an S on the end, or keep going and connecting with ANTA. And hopefully we're going to have so many more of these amazing webinars coming up this year.
Thank you so much, Tammy. That was such a fabulous and informative presentation. And I know all of the attendees here today and watching at a later date, if they're watching the replay, are going to take away at least one of those golden nuggets that you spoke to. And I could honestly say many more than just one. I've absolutely loved it. And I think this is just something in terms of optimizing our business as practitioners that we're all wanting to do in 2025. So thank you everyone for submitting your questions and joining us live today. It's been a really interactive session. A reminder for anyone that attended the webinar live, for the duration, you will receive your CPE certificate in your inbox. Also, ANTA will be an exhibitor at Tammy's Nat Expo Liftoff, which is so exciting. So we're so excited to see you there, and of course see Tammy do her thing, which is so amazing. So March 7th in Melbourne. So if you haven't got tickets, I would say get them.
Yeah.
And I'm also excited to announce ANTA will be holding its inaugural symposium on the 10th and 11th of October this year on the beautiful Sunshine Coast. So I've popped a link in for anyone that wants to register their interest, and you'll be one of the first people to get information on the early bird ticket sales as well for that one. So as Tammy spoke to, it's another opportunity for networking, meeting new people, and also it's also a symposium that, as Tammy spoke to, we're going to include business support and tips and optimizing your business in that way, as well as the clinical side of things too. So a really nice blend. So thank you, everyone. Thanks so much, Tammy.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone. Go and take that action, that one action. Go and take the action. Thanks, Danielle. Bye.
Thanks, Tammy. Bye.